critics, they think the APC is currently at a crossroad. There are a lot of issues at stake.
There are lots of issues. And the reason we have all those issues is because towards the end, when we were about to, you can use it, cumulate, right? Bring everything together. At that particular moment is when the court stepped in, they reversed every decision that were taken, and then I think a few weeks before the convention, I'll say a few days before the convention, we were injuncted, So they went there, we came out, we were not as united as we were supposed to be, and there were lots of infighting. It was like when you say the Cold War, people were not saying it, but they were not too happy, So I was looking to make it transparent, I was looking to leveling the playing field, the lower level should be open, people should go in and see, you count the votes in front of everybody, This is how I was this is what I was trying to do. But like I said, there were some obstructions,
What about those also within the APC who think you appear to be enemy of the party?
Well,
it appears as if, we are sent to just destabilize the APC.
Yes, but I think most of them have realized that I wasn't sent to destabilize the APC. I came in to make sure. In the past, like I said, somebody will select and people will hold on to one position for over 2 decades, Now we have term limits. You can only do it for 2 terms, And you have to move on or move aside or move up.
No, but the party will argue that it was constitutional. At that moment, their previous constitution was talking about selection or election, but now with the revised constitution, it's saying purely elections.
Yes.
The party will argue that it was not doing anything outside the legal issues.
No, they were doing a lot of things outside the legal issues. So we have selection or election in the 1995 Constitution. Now the reason we have the selection, it was only for emergency. Mind you, 1995, we had war. There were still pockets of wars in the country. So you can't conduct election everywhere. So what they'll do is they'll be like, instead of going to Kono, it's risky, let's just select a prominent person to represent the people of Kono. But what the previous executive did, they went in and did 100% selection. And in fact, if you could go back to the convention of 2017, in that convention, the then chairman said one of his accomplishments is a peaceful country. He said, during my reign, there's been peace in this country. So it was a peaceful atmosphere. There was no need for selection. You can only use selection under emergency circumstances. And there were no emergency circumstances.
So let's talk about, you said currently, because as a result of this pending, court issue, though you are still referring to the current chairman and the executive as de facto, you are saying you are the injuncted chairman. So it appears as if you still have lots of issues with your political party. So regardless of this court case, is the door open for you within the APC, or is it closed after you left? Have you been participating or even attempting to go to the party office to do anything? Because you still claim that you're an APC member.
I'm an APC member. I am under injunction. So that's the reason, you don't see me when they have all these gatherings, So I'm hoping the court system will lift the injunction so I can participate fully.
How do you want to participate currently?
Well,
you want to vie for any position or what? Well, or just to support the vision of the party, because the party said at this point everyone is leaning on board. The party has a very big goal in front of them, according to them, is to win the next election.
Yes, it's our goal to win the next election. It's my goal too. To participate is to bring this party. Like you said, there's a lot of issues. Even if I'm out of the picture, all right? There's a lot of issues. You have a set of people who refuse to proceed. They're still questioning the past election, correct? and you have people that are saying, no, let's move on. So you have all this fighting going on, and recently we saw the former vice president held a press conference that he's going to PPRC and afterwards he will go to court, you know. So it's a lot of things. These are all issues that, to be frank with you, could have been avoided if they had allowed me to proceed. So some of the stuff they reversed. One of it was his membership issue, Chief Samsumana. Now, we were considered the interim transitional governance committee, okay? So we were moving from a 1995 constitution to a 2022 constitution, all right? The 1995 constitution has what they call reinstatement, okay? The 2022 constitution has what they call readmission. So the only body that has, we were the body given the authority to govern the party, the overall affairs. So we were the highest decision-making body. So if we reinstate somebody, that person is reinstated. Now, the letter they gave him, they said they will reinstate him at the next National Delegates Conference. But what happened is, if we went to the next National Delegates Conference, we're operating under the 2022 Constitution. So during the transition period, okay, is the best time to resolve all, this is what the judge said, resolve all unresolved membership issues prior to the National Delegates Conference in accordance to Article 10 of the APC Constitution, something to the effect. I'm paraphrasing. So we looked at it that all unresolved membership issues, it should involve somebody like Chief Samsumana.
And the issue of Chief Samsumana was among those unresolved membership during your tenure as chairman?
Yes,
okay, so how was it done at that time?
So it was done. We called a meeting. We called a meeting the usual way. We showed up for the meeting. You know, there was a divide. It was 21-man committee, and there was a divide that the old guards, the former executive, they have 12, okay? And we, as the plaintiff, we were given 9. So it was 12 and 9. And the judge said decision must be by majority, simple majority. So we called a meeting. Some of them came, they noticed the others were not going to make it, and they noticed the numbers. When every time it's like 7, 6, or 8 of them, all of them will walk out of the meeting, you know? And they did this for 9 consecutive meetings. I wrote a letter to the then majority leader, you know? I said, your people are not coming to meetings, they're boycotting meetings. And I copied the judge, you know? So we held this meeting. It was 9 of us. They walked out, right? They left, I think. In fact, they didn't even show up, but they were not notified of the meeting. So
that's the meeting that has to do with the membership.
Yes, we were going to do that.
Okay.
So they didn't show up. And in the APC Constitution, Article 21, I think D or E, okay, told us how to conduct ordinary meetings. And in ordinary meetings, to get a quorum, you need 1/3. So out of 21, all you need is 7 people. That's a quorum. So whatever decision is made in that particular meeting is legally binding. So in this meeting we held, where we did all these membership issues, we were, I think, 8 or 9, way over the quorum. Okay? We went to court, the judge looked at it and said, okay, your lawyer won the case. So we didn't lose the case, right? We won the case. But there's something, I think they call it the mischief law or something, that he invoked, that he's going to give verdict on. It was a little confusing, you know? So he gave verdict, he reversed everything, He did it because our decision was not based on was not in line with the spirit of his judgment. The spirit of his judgment, he was expecting all parties to be present. Now, there is nowhere in the judgment where it says to do any meeting, all parties should be present. It was never in the judgment. He said it's the spirit of his judgment. Now, I don't have any means to understand the spirit of his judgment. You know what I mean? I'm not a necromancer or something. So he reversed the whole thing based on that, the spirit of his judgment. So he reversed the resolving of membership issue. He reversed, because we set up interim district chairman, he reversed them. It was a lot of things that could have propelled the party to some level where we'll be able to take governance. So those reversals were a big setback, and they're still haunting the party as I speak.
So let's talk around the issue of the current, contention about this whole membership of Samson Mana and his automatic qualification to be flag bearer. You started mentioning that because again, I want your view, because again, his whole issue was among the issues that you as interim chairman could have resolved, but again, you mentioned the aspect of the judgment. He's still challenging this whole thing of his qualification. During the press conference, he actually said, like you mentioned, he's now the issues are before PPRC, but likely he is also seeking the court redress. What's your view on that?
Well, to me, to be honest, it was long overdue. People think the APC is an entity body, something to the effect, according to the Constitution. The APC can sue and be sued. You understand? So if they can sue people or somebody or institution or anything, they can be sued as well. So it was long overdue. I mean, he should have done this to me long time ago. The Constitution of Sierra Leone is superior to any other bylaws or constitution that people have. So you cannot say in the APC, this is what we want, and the Sierra Leone Constitution say, no, this is how it should be. When you go to court, they will always go by the Sierra Leone Constitution, not the APC Constitution.
No, but he's standing on the APC ticket.
Yes.
And the party has its own constitution. So
yes.
Again, what are you actually saying?
Good. So this is simple. I said it, and I think I was explaining it to somebody. So you own this place. This is your house. You set your rules, right? Like the APC, somebody is arguing the same thing, that the APC can set their own rules. So this is your house. You set your rules. This is how I'm going to run my house. Okay, good and fine. But if something happened that goes against the national law of this land, say somebody died, your rules, nobody care about your home rules, right? That you feed your children once a week. If they die of starvation, it's a big problem. You can't say, oh, this is my child, I feed that child only once a week.
How do you tie the situation of Samson Mana in that scenario you're now painting? So it's the same thing.
No, it's the same. This is what happened. The Sierra Leone Constitution says to run or to become flag bearer or to run for the office of the presidency, you should belong to a political party, period. The APC Constitution is so prejudicial to the point where I would say it's comical, all right? So we start with the ward executive. They give you the topic, ward executive, right? They give you everything that they should do, their qualification, how they can contest and all of that. Then they go to constituency. They give you everything, how they should run and do and this. They go to district. They give you everything. Regional, they give you everything. When they get to the national, okay, everybody else is the same thing, but when it got to flag bearer, they said you should be a member of the party for 5 years. And then they add not just 5 years like everybody else, they say 5 years. continuously leading up to the day you want to contest. That's prejudicial in itself. So it's the Constitution was done out of some form of malice. What I'm saying to my fellow...
So are you saying that Constitution was aimed at targeting?
It was. There's no...
Targeting the likes of some former vice president? You think so?
100%. It was not even... You can't even sugarcoat it, you know? Because what we're saying is 5 years for everybody. But when you get to that one, you say 5 years leading up to. You understand? So that's that section leading up to just that. Even if we took out the Sierra Leone Constitution, just that is prejudicial.
All right, so let's talk around currently what is happening aside the issue of the former vice president. How prepared do you think the APC is in terms of getting ready to take governance? Do you think the party is ready?
I cannot say the party is ready. The party, we have a lot of work to do, and the good thing, we have time. Some people are saying, "Oh, we should just move on." No, it's just like you want to board a flight, and they said there's going to be a delay because the computer is showing some glitch. We want to fix it, and you say, "No, let's take off." That's risk.
That's what's currently happening within the APC.
Yes, there is.
What are these issues that you think they could address before moving forward?
Well, the first thing they're doing that is wrong, the first, is the way they're treating Dr. Samura Kamara. Okay?
How is it being treated? How is it being treated?
Well, to be honest, he's been marginalized.
How?
He's been marginalized. The reality is the party came out after the elections and they told the whole world that the APC won the elections because they have 70.2% of the RRF forms, and according to that, Dr. Samura scored 57.15%. So there is no way, if the rest of the ballots came in, the votes, there is no way he would lose the election. So the APC came out with confidence that they won the elections. Now, our constitution says if the flag bearer fails to secure victory or win the election, he is no longer the leader of the party after 6 months. But if you said we won, right? He didn't lose the election, according to them. He didn't lose. They said we won. So if they say we won, right? Why are you pushing him out? He's still, you have to treat him the way it is, and he's fighting for, he calls it electoral justice, okay? That he wants to get to the bottom of what happened in that elections and the whole 9 yards. It is agreeable. I think the SLPP would agree. The APC, of course, you don't have to ask them. Even the ECSL, international partners, everybody agrees that the 2023 election is unprecedented. We've never seen anything like this. Somebody showed up, made an announcement that this guy is the winner, and go back in, no results. I didn't know that. To be honest, I didn't know that there were no results until the US ambassador came out and said, by the way, there are no results. I think he made that statement in 2024, sometime around that, Say, by the way, for your last election.
So you mean even whilst Dr. Samura Kamara is bent on, getting what he referred to as electoral justice, that should also hold the APC to ransom, that it cannot move forward?
So it's a missing piece, very important. It's not moving forward. It's not about moving forward. It's about justice. We're not dealing with people that are going to push. You can feel the heat on the airwaves, the political tension already, And the recently appointed, I think he's the acting commissioner of the ECSL. That man stood there, or I don't know what platform he was. He said nothing is going to change in 2028. What happened 2012 2018, 2023 is going to repeat it 2028. You know, so that's the premise for the APC to say, you know what, we're not ready to move on. We need the results. We need the results. I mean, to the rest of the world, we're being looked at as stupid fools. Excuse my language.
Who are the stupid fools?
Us, everybody. If you voted in that election, if everybody that voted in that election,
are you referring to your own political party?
Everybody, every Sierra Leonean that participated, the rest of the world is looking at us as if we don't have the only way you take power in this country is through elections. There's no way in the Constitution where you can negotiate your way to say, well, after this we'll give you now. You know, there's no thing like that. The people came out and said, okay, you're not fit, we don't want you, you leave. Or the people came out and said, you're fit, you did well already, we want you to stay, you stay. That's how. This is how democracy improves the country, the world. But if we all sit, that's why I wrote a letter to the teachers union and all these people, now look at them, they're struggling. The point is, we have to fix it. People have to stand up and say no, and I'm ready. That's why I wrote a letter. I said to the ECSL, please produce the results. I wrote a letter to the very US ambassador that said there were no results. I said, join me in asking the ECSL to produce the results. I even asked the president, the winner of the election, I said, join me in asking to produce the results. Because think about it, immediately after the elections, the very president came out and said, let us investigate. You know? Why do you want to investigate? Just produce the result. That's all the people were asking.
All right, continue to stay with us. He is Alfred Peter Conte, former interim chairman for IUTC within the APC party. Let's take a short break and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the program, the program which is coming to you live on the Slbc. You can be part of the program this afternoon, but you could send your text to 030-073719. You can follow us on our Facebook page at slbc.sl. Let's move on now. September is Sickle Cell Awareness Month, designed to help focus attention on the need for research and treatment of sickle cell disease. For more on the month, I have Amelia Gaba, Programs Coordinator, Sierra Leone Sickle Cell Society. Good afternoon, welcome to the program, ma'am.
Good afternoon,
All right, so give us a background to this Sickle Cell Awareness Month.
Well, sickle cell, as we all know, is a non-communicable disease. It's a public health priority, but unfortunately, all countries affected, they are not putting much premium or priority on it. And so the United Nations, in 2008, thought it fit to make a declaration that June 19th should be World Sickle Cell Day. And so that is what we have been using to create awareness, to ensure that people with sickle cell disease, we speak for them, we advocate for them, we talk about their treatments to ensure that they have proper management. But then some countries have seen that June 19th alone cannot do it. And so apart from seeking for proper management and other things, it started really from America that we should be using September also. And that it's not just a day, like what Sickle Cell Day, which is June 19th, but there should be a whole month. And during that month, we want to stress on partnership, we want to stress on policies, we want to stress on national treatment guidelines for them, we want to ensure that people know their status, their genotype. In fact, some countries have started, even in our neighboring countries, they have started in West Africa, that before you get married, you have to know your genotype, both male and female, to ensure that we control sickle cell disease in our countries. So September month has actually now been taken on board as a sickle cell awareness month all over the world. And for us in Sierra Leone, for this month, like today or for this whole week, from Monday to today, Sierra Leone Sickle Cell Society, we have been mourning, because this is just showing that even though the testimony that we have been given, one of our success stories, that we still need to scale up in Sierra Leone on the management and care of people with sickle cell disease. One of our clients, one of our warriors, one of our patients who has been so active in the sensitization of the country, who used to come with us to the Slbc and even to other radio media places, we lost him on Monday, the 1st of September. That has been devastating for us. He's Mr. John Walker, who was working with NACSA, and he has always been with us. We've started this planning together for this September month. He's working closely with the Ramsey Medical Laboratory, who are our partners, and we have agreed that this month, the first 400 people we get, we'll refer them to Ramsey for them to do a blood test to identify their sickling status. So we still want to continue in his memory. May his soul rest in peace.
So let's talk around the whole month. What will be the focus?
For the whole month, we had planned that we are actually going to scale up on sensitization, and we are working together with Ramsey Medical Laboratories, with also the Directorate of Food and Nutrition, because we want to look again at the importance and relationship between nutrition and the sickle cell disease also. Just like we are looking at the correlation between malaria and sickle cell disease. And so what we are trying to do, a lot of sensitization, like I'm here now, we have a team. They went this morning to Congo Town. They went they have gone to 2 marketplaces. They are out and they are doing sensitization in the market areas. We have also planned to go to our 20 schools to do sensitization there. And it's from these communities, the market community and the school communities, we are hoping to get the 400 people. The first 400 that comes up, we will give them a request form for them to go to Ramsey, and they are going to do they are going to look at their status to identify them. Apart from that, we have planned again our normal family meetings. By this, we bring on board our clients, we come together in a meeting. And in that meeting, we normally give testimonies, we normally allow the parents to talk, we allow the patients themselves to talk, and then we bring on board key people who are also going to talk to them. We also use the month to advocate for them. Normally, we are advocating to the Ministry of Health. We want to have policies in place. We know the political will is there through the Ministry of Health, but we just want to say, let us scale up on issues. Let us ensure that policies are established, that they are formed, and a national treatment guideline is produced, which should be used in all the hospitals. Also, we are advocating that testing reagents be present in all the hospitals, so that those who go there who are anemic, they should test and know their genotype. Because if you say somebody is anemic, you want to know what is causing the anemia. We have also seen that some of the problems that we are having were constrained because when we refer them to our referral hospitals, we cannot do it alone. In fact, our 2 centers, we call them drop-in centers. We just do maintenance treatment. When they have minor crisis, we handle it there. But when they are in severe crisis, these are the times they will need oxygen, they will need blood transfusion, they will need specialized medicines. We refer them, and we are hoping that these referral hospitals, we are referring them like to Connaught Hospital, to the Princess Christian Maternity Hospital, Oladiri Children's Hospital, Kenema Road, Maternal and Child Health Hospital, we are hoping that these facilities are equipped so that when they get there, they get emergency treatment and the specialized treatment that we are referring them for are provided.
So how are you going to also use this month to call for government attention to services needed for people suffering from this disease?
We are part of the sickle cell task force that has been created in the Ministry of Health. So we are hoping that going through the non-communicable disease directorate, we are hoping that going through them with these our concerns, governments will be able to get to know what is happening and what the attention that we want them to pay to the management of sickle cell disease in Sierra Leone. So working with the Ministry of Health and Sanitation, we hope that these are our messages we go on, because the political will is there. The ministry, the minister, because the minister has appointed the deputy minister, Professor Charles Tennessee is involved in this, and also we are hoping that the Directorate of Non-Communicable Diseases, because they now have a new leader, also is interested. We hope that these people are going to take these messages and present it to government so that they also will go and advocate. We need policies. We need to develop a national treatment guideline so that when these people go at any level, whoever they meet, we know what to do. We thank God for the trainings that we have been doing for the health workers.
Because that is also very much lacking at the hospitals.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was a time when we refer cases to the hospitals, to our referral hospitals. You send somebody like 2 hours, you have almost forgotten, thinking like maybe they are now in bed and they are being taken. That person will call you. I still done a bench, they don't see me yet. And sometimes they will even call to say, they may say I for pay for this, but I not get the money for pay for the chat. So we want like emergency treatments to be given and we can follow up. If there's anything to be paid when the emergency comes, you treat that emergency and then later on the payment will be made. These are the type of things. In fact, we are also advocating, like we have the free healthcare. If they can be added to that list, maybe just even for the emergency phase, like when they go, they get oxygen immediately, while their relatives are going to donate the blood. If there's an emergency drug that is needed to be given, that one is given. Maybe start. And then from there, the organizations can now come to follow up, or their relatives can come to follow up. This is the type of thing that we want to see happening. Because from last year to now, the ones that we are losing are not below the 20 years now. We are losing them between the 20, 30, 35. These are people you have lived with for such a long time. You think they are now a little bit stable with the condition. Because there are times they go for 3 years, even 2 years without having crisis. And then all of a sudden they have a crisis. And when they go to the hospital, within a day or two, you are informed that you have lost them. So we actually are pleading, we are asking and advocating that the Ministry of Health should put some priority measures in place for this condition to be put under free health care. For our children under 5 years, our children that we are referring to the Children's Hospital, whenever the free health care medicine or supplies are available, we benefit from it. Because they will tell you, when I went there, I did not buy, they gave me supplies. So if the medicines are available, our under 5s, they are benefiting from it. But for those who are above 10, that will refer corners, will refer to the other facilities, it's a bit difficult. And you know, this is a condition that they get crisis, some of them almost every month, some almost every other month. So we are having social problems. It's something some mothers will say, the pikin as you see money no money they sick. And then the husbands will say, now you know who say pull. In other words, you the mother, you carry the child for 9 months, you will not deny that is not your child. But the husband will say, I'm not responsible for that child because in my family we do not have sickle cell, because look at me, I'm looking healthy. Yeah. And some of them, most of them, I always tell them when they say, look at me, sister, I'm looking healthy, I don't think I have sickle cell in my family. I always tell them, okay, look at me now, Mrs. Laba. Do you think I have sickle cell in my system? They will say, no. Then I will say, but I'm AS. If you have sickle cell trait, it will not show on you. You will not become sick, but it is in your gene and you can pass it on to your children. And so we want people to know that we get sickle cell disease from parents, the mother and the father, who are both sickle cell trait. We should know that. So that is why it is important for all of us to know our genotype. So that when even we are getting married, we are thinking of the children that we are bringing into this world. Those who are now affected, we always say, since it's from love, you should extend that love to that child also. It is by chance and not by choice. So when that chance comes, God said everything that He created is good. So you accept it as a gift from God. And you continue to take care of that child. Because it is only with care and proper management that they can live to ripe old age. If you do not take care of them, it's going to be difficult for us to manage it. So, like for now, the sensitization that we are actually doing, we want everybody to know that there are facilities where they can take these children. In fact, some of them, they are no longer children. We have it within, amongst us in the community, some of them who are now young adults, some who are still teenagers, but they are not going to any of the sickle cell facilities. So we want them to find these facilities and be going there, because you have to ensure like that you are taking your folic acid every day. Again, science has shown that water also, drinking water, will help you to flush your system at all times. And again, we have seen that it is important for people to know that, well, for the babies, if you say you are looking for signs and symptoms, for babies, you can see that their fingers are swollen, their toes are swollen, and they cry a lot, indicating that they are in pain, but they will not say it. But sickle cell actually comes with pain, and that pain is so devastating. Again, the crisis occurs and this can happen anywhere. Normal red blood cells, because this is where the changes take place. Sickle cell disease itself affects the red blood cells. And because it affects the red blood cells, they are round, they are soft. They can move within the veins. Even the small veins, they can move within them onto the lungs to take oxygen to the rest of the body. But when the changes take place, they become like curved, moon shaped, or like curved bananas. The first person who saw them was a student from Jamaica in America. He said, what sort of cells are these which look like a sickle? Because it was coming from a farming background. Even with us in Sierra Leone, we know in the villages we have the knives that we use to harvest rice. They are curved. So he said they look like sickles, and so that is how it got its name. So because of that, they don't move freely in the veins, and that is why if you are drinking a lot of water, you help them to move freely.
Okay, thank you so much.
Again, they block the veins, and that is why they are having so much pain. And that can occur. That blocking of the veins can occur anywhere. It can occur in the brain. They do not have hypertension, but they get a stroke. It happens in the chest. They have acute chest syndrome. The spleen can sometimes, because it is tired, since they are breaking so rapidly and the spleen is cleaning the blood, it can reach a point that becomes tired, and within like 48 hours there's a pool of blood there, because instead of going in and out, it keeps it there, and the person can become so anemic. So we have to ensure that we know the signs and symptoms. They are looking pale, they are looking thin, they have yellow eyes. You look for these things and advise them within your community so that they come to the hospital for testing, for them to be identified.
Okay, thank you so much, Amelia Gaba, Coordinator Cellular Sickle Cell. As the months, maybe in the mid-month or in the end of September, shall be calling you again to give us updates. So,
yes.
Mr. Peter Conte, let's talk around aside the aspect of politics, which we have discussed lengthily. In terms of your own, what talk with you in terms of contribution to nation building, aside the whole APC issue? What have you been up to? We are faced with a lot of problems.
Yes. Well,
unemployment, drug abuse, all these things.
I've been looking at the drug abuse. I mean, there was a day when I traveled from the West End to my office, and people came from the East End to visit I saw a very disturbing picture. Like this guy died on the street, you know, and he was laying down there. They covered him with a piece of blanket, and it was so terrible. I mean, this is something that should not be happening in Sierra Leone. I'm telling you, I saw 2 dead bodies from the west to my office. The people that came from the east to visit me, when I told them, they said we saw 3 dead bodies from the east coming down. And this is happening on a daily basis. Even if we say 5 people die a day, we're talking of what? 1,825 or so, 30 people a year, which is something that they're not supposed to die, you know? We're not saying people don't die, but they're dying because of these drugs. So my thing to the nation building, if I was looking out to secure ambulance and other things to pick those people up, you know, the former leader of government business, Honorable Ibrahim Bund, just opened like a rehab center, you know, to help. So this is something I believe we should pay attention to. For you and I, it's another day. You know, I was telling somebody, it's like another day in paradise for you and I. But for those people, they're out there, this is the future, you know. And this president promised human capital development. And what we're seeing is catastrophe. It is catastrophic, to be honest. The future of this country is being depleted, whether you like it or not. So it is incumbent on everybody, you know, to look at this drug issue, stop everything and say, let's say no to this. Let's find the root cause. Where is it coming from? You know, I believe our police have capability to put this thing to rest if they're given the freedom, the resources to do it. So let's see how we can do, because we stop the bleeding, we heal the wound. That's what we can do. Stop the source. Where is this thing coming from? And then I even spoke to a nurse. She was telling me when they bring them like to corner, you know, the hospital to do rehabilitation, they said because they've been taking it for so long, they go into like convulsion, you know, and it's a lot. So this is serious. I mean, they have brain damage already, you know. Somebody that was a student, that's somebody's son, that's somebody's friend, that's somebody's brother, is now standing on the street or die on the street, and they just go, we can't sit back, you know. So that's one thing I looked at, you know. Another thing, we look at the energy. We still have a ship that's supplying us electricity. A lot of things are happening in Sierra Leone that are happening only in Sierra Leone, you know. So these are all things. So when you ask me, I don't even know where to stop. But for now, the one that is visible, tangible, and fixable is the drug thing. It's fixable.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Conte, for joining us this afternoon to discuss politics as well as development. Alfred Peter Conte, former interim chairman for IGTC, though he referred to himself as the joint head chairman. And many thanks to Amelia Gaba, programs coordinator, Slbc Society. We'll let her round things up on the podium this afternoon. Before we go, reminder of our quote of the day, and it's from U.S. historian Henry Brooks Adams, and it says, "A teacher affects eternity. He can never tell where his influence stops." Thank you so much for watching, and good afternoon.
the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. This is News Brief on the Hour, and I am Mariatu Dukure. Former Vice President of Sierra Leone, Alhaji Chief Samuel Samsumana, has said Clause 56B in the 2022 APC Constitution does not fall in line with the country's 1991 Constitution. In his bid to become the APC's presidential candidate, Samsumana has therefore suggested to take the matter to the PPRC if the party fails to remove the 56B clause. He made this assertion during his Psalm 28 press conference, officially declaring himself as presidential aspirant. The press conference was a platform mainly to narrate the former vice president's political career, including his expulsion in 2015. Chief of Staff to the former VP, Brema Michael Ture, provided the summary from Samsumana's 1962 birth in Kono to his education in Freetown and abroad before finally becoming 2005 running mate as a businessman in the extraction industry. According to the former VP, he had resolved as a second-generation APC stalwart to follow in the footsteps of his father, Chief Samsumana, to continue in the genealogy of leadership for what he described as sustenance of the APC. The former VP said he had no cause for vilification or misgivings, but would stand to ensure victory in 2028, and he would not yield to skeptics who say Psalm 28 is a device to APC. Responding to questions, Alhaji Chief Samuel Samsumana said 56B of the APC 2022 Constitution was a contradiction to the 1991 Constitution and insisted that it is not too late for the ECOWAS court ruling to be adhered with by GoSL because the 1991 Constitution is superior to all laws and does not allow contravention. Alhaji Chief Samsumana said that despite his previous appeals were not attended, he had continued paying his dues, and his reinstatement to the party was a validation of his eligibility and his commitment to the amicable settlement of the intra-party issues. His underlying message was for justice and transparency to prevail because peace is the foundation for development both at party and national level. The Forum of Islamic Organizations for Peaceful Coexistence in Sierra Leone has joined Muslims worldwide to celebrate the birthday of the Prophet, Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, widely known as Maulud al-Nabi, here in Freetown. The celebration, which brought together three major Islamic groups, the Shia, Ahmadi, and Sunni communities, organized a colorful march past from Upgon roundabout to the Freetown Central Mosque, Lightfoot Boston Streets, where the main event was held. At the Freetown Central Mosque, religious leaders, scholars, and community members gathered to listen to sermons and recitation of Quranic verses highlighting the significance of the birthday of the Prophet. President of the Forum of Islamic Organizations, Justice Alhaji Abubakar King, expressed gratitude to all participants and representatives for their support and attendance. He emphasized that the birthday of the Prophet, peace be upon him, should serve as a reminder for Muslims to remain united and uphold exemplary character. A representative of the Shia mission in Sierra Leone, Sheikh Ibrahim Ba, described the day as a blessing to all Muslims, adding that the Prophet's birth was a divine gift to mankind, and celebrating it through activities such as march-past, charitable donations, and community support projects helped honor his legacy. Secretary General of the Forum, Sheikh Usha Conte, underscored the importance of unity among Muslims. He said the celebration demonstrated that the Forum sees every Muslim as one, adding that honoring the Prophet on this day strengthens the bond of brotherhood. The celebration ended with prayers for continued peace in the country, unity and coexistence among all Muslims, especially Sierra Leoneans. Statistics Sierra Leone has assured stakeholders of progress in the preparation for the 2026 population and housing census, but raised concerns over a significant fund gap that threatens the strict timelines required for the exercise. At a meeting of the Census Advisory Committee, the Statistician General and senior officials of Statistics Sierra Leone presented updates on the technical, logistical, and communication preparations already achieved. These included the procurement of servers, tablets, power banks, vehicles, satellite imagery, and a monitoring dashboard, as well as the establishment of district-level administrative structures. The Statistician General Andrew Bob Johnny emphasized the importance of transparency and inclusivity, noting that the census was at a critical stage with training for nearly 700 field staff about to begin. While progress has been made in securing equipment and building administrative machinery, Deputy Statistician General Statistics Sierra Leone Lansana Kana said that the funding gap of about 13 million United States dollars still remains. He stressed that without timely support, there was a risk of delays similar to those experienced in 2021. Well, that's the end of the news. Prepare the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. I have been Maria to the Korea. Keep it locked.
To accept the revelations. I mean, you can almost say that she was the first Muslim because she believed in the revelations before the Prophet himself. And so she had that instinctive ability to recognize authenticity and genius. We see her in the sources as a very maternal figure. And this is something the Prophet had lost himself. He had lost his own mother. I mean, he really loved Khadija. You know, Western critics often sneer at the Prophet's sort of opportunistic marriage to the wealthy widow. That's not borne out in the sources. He loved her all his life. His later wives used to hate the mention of her because they knew that none of them could compete with her in his heart.
Then, a few months later, Muhammad was hit by another devastating loss. The death of his uncle, Abu Talib, the man who had protected him from the worst attempts of the Quraysh to crush him. The leadership of Muhammad's clan now fell into the hands of his most violent opponents. Attacks against him increased. His enemies now gave him a stark warning: stop spreading your message or your life could be in danger. Muhammad and his small band of followers were now at their most vulnerable. Half of them had fled to Ethiopia, the rest were almost in hiding in Mecca. His enemies were now openly making plans to crush his embryonic Islamic movement and even to kill him. The next step he would take would be critical. It would shape not only his future, but the history of the world. In the next episode, Muhammad's persecution by the Quraysh intensifies and he's forced to leave his hometown of Mecca. It also brings him into conflict with some of the Jewish tribes of Arabia, leading to one of the most controversial events of his life, a massacre whose consequences still reverberate today.
I think it seared itself into the Muslim historical memory, and to that extent it has had an impact that we feel down to this day.
Muhammad was born in Mecca in the year 570 into the ruling tribe of the city, the Quraysh. At the age of 40, according to Muslim tradition, he received a blinding revelation from God, the first of many, that would go on to change not just his life, but the history of the world. This is the defining moment in Muhammad's life, and today, for the 1.5 billion people all around the world who follow him, completely accepting his revelation defines what it means to be a Muslim. Muhammad's revelations would become the sacred text of Islam, the Quran, literally the recitation. The orthodox Muslim position is that it is God himself who is the author of the Quran, and Muhammad was just the person to whom it was first revealed. When he started preaching, Muhammad had quickly attracted a small band of followers. but they were now under threat of death from the rulers of Mecca, who controlled the Kaaba, a shrine that housed the many gods of Arabia. They feared that Muhammad's message, that there was only one true God, would destroy the importance of the Kaaba and in turn lead to Mecca's economic and political ruin. By 620, Muhammad had also lost two of his greatest supporters, his loyal wife of 25 years, Khadija, and his clan protector, his uncle Abu Talib. He had reached one of the lowest points of his life. But it was at this moment that he had another extraordinary spiritual experience that would transform his life. According to Muslim tradition, one night after falling asleep at the Kaaba in Mecca, Muhammad was transported on a metaphysical journey to a place hundreds of miles north, a city that is also holy to Christians and Jews, Jerusalem. What would become known as Muhammad's night journey would establish Jerusalem in Muslim eyes as a sacred city, a place of devotion and pilgrimage, second only to Mecca and Medina. It's one of the main reasons why today Jerusalem is at the heart of the Middle Eastern conflict. The conflict between Israel and the Palestinians is a struggle between two peoples over the same piece of land. But why is it that this issue has become such a defining cause across the Muslim world? And why is it that the call for the liberation of Jerusalem, a city 800 miles from Muhammad's birthplace, has become such a rallying cry for so many Muslims?
Jerusalem is very important to Muslims because it represents a part of our creed and faith. The first event was the night journey and ascension to heaven, when God sent Muhammad to his night journey from Mecca to Jerusalem and ascended him from Jerusalem to the heavens.
According to Muslim tradition, Muhammad is awoken during the night by the angel Gabriel, who lifts him up onto a winged horse called Al-Buraq, and he is then miraculously transported across the desert to Jerusalem. And it's from this point that Muhammad begins one of the most powerful and extraordinary experiences of his life. He's taken on a journey where he meets all the past prophets, from Abraham to Moses and even Jesus, and he prays with all of the prophets. He's then offered water, wine, or milk to drink, and he chooses milk in order to signify the middle path he's trying to steer through life. And then a celestial ladder appears, and Muhammad begins a mystical ascent through the seven heavens, where he is eventually taken to the heavenly throne itself and is spoken to by God himself. To modern rational ears, it's an incredible story. But for Muslims, it is one of the most important events in Muhammad's life. Whether it can be seen as a literal physical journey or a spiritual experience has divided believers and non-believers alike.
This was a miracle, and the miracle is part of the faith. It does not have any scientific explanation, and it is against what is normal. We believe it because it is said in the Quran and in the honorable quotes of the Prophet.
I really think deeply that it was a spiritual journey, and the meaning of it is, in fact, that he went to Jerusalem and then he went very close to the one God, the Creator.
This is actually the shrine inside the rock, which is covered by the famous gold dome mosque known as the Dome of the Rock. And it's exactly from this point where the Prophet Muhammad is said to have gone on his night journey. Now, for some people, it was and is a literal physical journey in which the Prophet Muhammad traveled in the blink of an eye from Mecca, 800 miles away, all the way here to Jerusalem. But for other people, the night journey is actually symbolic. It's a spiritual journey in which the Prophet's soul enters a new realm of divine revelation.
It was highly important symbolically, because in this night journey, the Prophet Muhammad leads Moses, Abraham, Noah, Jesus, Jacob, all the prophets. He leads them in prayer, and God speaks with Muhammad. And in this discourse, God orders upon the Prophet and upon all the Muslims the single most important action that a Muslim has to perform: the 5 daily prayers.
You look for it in the Quran and you find 3 little mentions. But the whole story about the Prophet flying on Buraq, going to meet the previous prophets, going to Jerusalem, being given instructions about, the 5 daily prayers, all of this journey to heaven, journey to the glimpse of the edge of the uttermost throne of God, has all been added on later to build up this sort of wonderful cosmological gift to the Islamic world. But it's not in the Quran.
The history of religion is embellishment and interpretation. How many times should it be in the Quran? That it is in the Quran is what is significant.
Muhammad's night journey to Jerusalem and his ascension to heaven, when he meets all the past prophets dating back to Abraham, so familiar to Jews and Christians, is a crucial moment in his life. For Muslims, it is a confirmation and acceptance by these other prophets and even God himself that Muhammad is the last in the long line of men who have brought the word of God to humanity, and that Islam and its followers were also a part of the ancient Abrahamic tradition. It was also an indication that Muhammad was now prepared to leave his tribal past behind him and bring his message to the wider world.
The Prophet's night journey goes away from tribalism. It finishes not with the tribe, but with an embrace of humanity and an abandonment of the tribal spirit and a reaching out to others. That's the theological meaning of what's happening.
Because of what happened just behind me, Jerusalem is considered by Muslims to be the 3rd holiest shrine in Islam after Mecca and Medina. And because this city continues to be under Israeli control, that's why Jerusalem continues to be such a potent symbol for Muslims around the world. Muhammad's night journey was a seminal moment. It marked the ending of one period of his life and the beginning of another. He was about to begin a new and even more dangerously radical phase of his mission, in which he would abandon his tribal life completely. Rather than trying to defeat the Quraysh in Mecca, he would leave the city and start again somewhere else. One day, in a place here which used to be a small oasis, Muhammad met a group of men from the town of Yathrib, which is about 15 days camel ride to the north. The men told Muhammad about the warfare and the constant feuding that affected their community. Muhammad listened to them, and for his part, he told them about his mission, about the unity of God, about the importance of living a virtuous life, and of the rewards of heaven. Now, importantly, the men sat and were even excited by what Muhammad had to say. And this was important because it was completely different to the reaction that Muhammad was used to getting in Mecca. The meeting ended with the 6 men from Yathrib converting to Islam and agreeing to meet Muhammad once again. Conditions had now got so bad in Mecca for Muhammad, he felt that he had no choice but to get his followers to do the unthinkable, to abandon the city of their birth for Yathrib and an uncertain future in a place where they would live without any clan protection.
The community in Yathrib was made up of a number of different tribes. Some of them were pagan, the Aus and Khazraj. Some of them were Jewish. There are three main Jewish tribes. And there was a lot of disagreement, in fact, in Yathrib between different communities about how they wanted to do things. There was sort of a lot of jostling for power and prestige, and they felt that they needed a mediator. And they had heard about Muhammad, who at that time was a preacher in Mecca, of growing reputation in that part of the peninsula. And they perceived in him someone who could perhaps mediate in their disputes and be a sort of neutral arbiter and come and help them resolve the problems within Yathrib.
It wasn't until the following year that an even bigger delegation came all the way from Yathrib seeking out another meeting with the Prophet Muhammad. And this time they held it under cover of darkness and in secret. And it led to a unity between the two, between the Prophet Muhammad and the community in Yathrib. I am of you and you are of me, Muhammad said. Now, this agreement, it's important to bear in mind, was something really new, something that was a radical departure, because it wasn't based on clan alliances, on family, or on tribal allegiances. It was based on something far more universal that went way beyond kinship.
It is an act of extraordinary daring, audacity, and genius, in a sense. In Arabia at this time, it was absolutely unheard of to leave your tribe, your blood group, permanently and take up permanent residence with another. It was blasphemy. The sacred tribe was the absolute value in Arabia. And for him to leave it like that and create a new kind of community, an ummah, a community based on ideology rather than relationship, was unheard of.
If the rulers of Mecca got wind of Muhammad's plans, the consequences could be disastrous. So Muhammad now had to get his followers out of the city without alerting the Quraysh. Over the next few months, a few of Muhammad's companions left the city each night, so as not to arouse any suspicions, until finally only a handful were left, including his faithful companion Abu Bakr, his young cousin Ali, and Muhammad himself. Meanwhile, the Quraysh themselves had been planning, this time to assassinate Muhammad himself. The idea was that one member of each of Mecca's clans would stab Muhammad at the same time, making it impossible for Muhammad's own clan to revenge his death, as too many people would have been involved. One night, the group surrounded his house, and believing they saw someone sleeping in Muhammad's bedroom, the assassins, with their daggers drawn, rushed into his bedroom. But instead, they found his young cousin Ali asleep in his place. Muhammad had fled.
He's a very canny man. They're going to kill him in this assassination plot that he escapes from, goes on this wonderful journey with Abu Bakr. The thing I like of many, many aspects of it is that he made certain that everybody paid their debts. They were leaving Mecca, but every debt had to be fulfilled. There's an underlying Arabic code of honor feeding the division.
Along with Abu Bakr, Muhammad had slipped out of Mecca unnoticed. He was now en route to his new home in Yathrib. Even though Muhammad had fled, the Meccans were really determined to pursue him. And within hours, they were hot on his trail, and they chased him all the way through the punishing steep climb on the foothills of Mount Thawr. But by the time they reached the top, there was no Muhammad and there was none of his footprints. Eventually, the Meccans just had to give up and go all the way back down to Mecca. But all this while, unknown to them, Muhammad and his companion Abu Bakr had been hiding in a cave at the top of Mount Thawr. And when the coast was clear, they just simply continued on their journey towards Yathrib. It was now 622 AD, and Muhammad was in his early 50s. He had grown up in Mecca as an orphan. He had experienced some of the wider world with his uncle on many caravan trading trips. He had been married and had a family. He had received a series of divine revelations, but had been rejected by his own tribe. For over 10 years, he and his small band of about 200 followers had suffered extreme humiliation and persecution. Finally, with people plotting to assassinate him, he had fled his home to a place completely unknown to him. This event became known as the Hijra, literally a cutting off from the past. There was now no way back for Muhammad and his new movement.
He went as he'd preacher. He didn't go as a conqueror. They said, come here and be our judge. We're not going to accept you as prophet of God. We're just going to accept you as a prophet, a revered man whose word we trust. He didn't come with a conquering army. He came as a refugee, as an exile, as a dignified man of respect.
Muhammad was preaching Islam in Mecca for 13 years. He only had 150